Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3. Does anyone remember what we are reading?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we read yesterday that if one is pious in piety, he can come to Krishna and take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And also we read that this material world is full of danger. Padam padam yat vipadam. The purpose the Lord comes here is to annihilate the sinful, Dushkriti, and protect the devotees. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstapana chaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So and also we read that in previous life, Gajendra was a human being. He was King Indrayumna. That's that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much. And he remembered the prayers that he used to
Yes,
chant
yes.
when he was in Drudyumna. He remembered the prayers. Yeah. Was any of you thinking about this, Gajendra and pastime, since we read about whatever we read yesterday?
Yes, I was thinking.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it was just every time, like how, like how he dependent on Krishna and even his family, relatives, he did not turn to them. And so same for us. So like we can learn a lesson from this, that no matter how powerful or anything they are, but they cannot help us.
Mm.
It's only Krishna.
I think he realized, right? That
Yeah,
he realized that
yes,
no
we
one
have
can,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like though he was attached to his family, but yeah. But at this time, he was like helpless in the time of danger.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know if you all have experienced, sometimes we may be experiencing a situation where even our dear ones can't help us. Maybe it's like some
Correct.
kind of a pain, or you know that they may say, even if we want to, we don't know how to help you beyond a certain point.
Hmm.
And
Yes,
likewise for
absolutely.
us also, if somebody is experiencing something, we can do to a certain degree, and then beyond that, don't know how
We
to.
can, uh,
Hmm.
Okay, so let's read on. Shri Gajendra
Like
Vacha.
just for an example, like
Ah,
my friend when she lost her brother,
mm,
so what we could have done, nothing. Like every one of us just give the condolence, or we could tell her that it's. But what, like she had to turn to Krishna, and nobody could, no one of us could help in that situation. Though we were there, but it made it more worse because she remembered more. Everybody went and they started the same thing. So no one can help. There are situations that we want to, but we can't because we don't know actually.
yeah, so true. Yeah. Okay. Shri Gajendra Vacha.
Shri
Shri
Gajendra
Gajendra
Vacha.
Uvacha
Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Tasmai.
Tasmai
Yata Eta Chit Atmakam.
Yatha
Yata
etat chit
Etachit
atmakam.
Atmakam
Purushayadi Bijaya.
Purushaya
Purushaya Adi
Adibujaya
Bujaya
Pareshaya Bhitimahi.
Pareshaya
Parishaya
Adhimahi.
Bhitimahi.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The king of the elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him. In this verse, the words Etat Chidatmakam are very important. The material body certainly consists only of material elements. But when one awakens to Krishna conscious understanding, the body is no longer material but spiritual. So one may ask, how is that? How the body is made of material elements? Then how it becomes spiritual? So the material body is meant for sense enjoyment, whereas the spiritual body engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of him should never be considered to have a material body. So Prabhupada would give the example that there's a fire, and there is an iron rod. Now, when we put this iron rod into the fire, the iron rod takes the quality of the fire. And if we touch that iron rod to anything, it's going to burn. So it's taken the quality of the fire because it's in association with this. Similarly, when matter is used, when it's engaged in service of Krishna, it becomes spiritual. And that's how the pure devotee is always said that his body is spiritual because he's using it in Krishna service. His consciousness is spiritualized, his subtle body is purified. It is therefore enjoined Gurusha Naramati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. Arche Vishnu Shiladi. Everyone knows that the deity in the temple is made of stone. But to think that the deity is merely stone is an offense, right? The deity in the temple may be wood or stone or metal. It's true. But then we worship. We don't say, oh, this is just ordinary stone. No, we say this is God Himself. Similarly, to think that the body of the spiritual master consists of material ingredients is offensive because he's using it in Krishna's service. So that's why it's spiritualized. Like how we prepare food for Krishna. We are using material ingredients. But when we offer to Krishna, then it becomes prasad, becomes spiritual. So matter, when engaged in service of Krishna, becomes spiritual. That is the secret of how to turn matter into spirit. Atheists think that devotees foolishly worship a stone statue as God and an ordinary man as the Guru. The fact is, however, that by the grace of Krishna's omnipotence, the so-called stone statue of the direct deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the body of the spiritual master is directly spiritual. A pure devotee who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service should be understood to be situated on the transcendental platform. Sagunan samatiyaitan Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Let us therefore offer our obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy so-called material things also become spiritual when they are engaged in spiritual activity. So, Omkar, Pranava, is a symbolic sound representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho brahmanas trivida smrita. The three words Om Tat Sat immediately invoke the Supreme Person. Therefore, Krishna says that he's Omkar in all the Vedic mantras. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. The Vedic mantras are pronounced beginning with Omkar to indicate immediately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's no difference between Om, Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is Lord Krishna himself. Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, begins with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, and Omkar Pranava. We should be careful to understand that Omkar does not indicate anything Nirakar or formless. Indeed, this verse immediately says Om Namo Bhagavate. Bhagavan is a person. Thus, Omkar is the representation of the Supreme Person. Omkar is not meant to be impersonal as the Mayavadi philosophers consider it to be. Because many people think Omkar means something Nirakar. But Omkar is actually directly addressing Krishna. This is distinctly expressed here by the word Purushaya. The Supreme Truth addressed by Omkar is Purusha, the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. It's just someone who does not understand that God is a person, and then they may think that, oh, when we are addressing God as Om, then means we are addressing the impersonal, unmanifested form of the Lord. But here we are understanding that Omkar refers directly to Krishna. Unless he's a person, how can he control the great stalwart controllers of this universe? Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are the supreme controllers of this universe. But Lord Vishnu is offered obeisances even by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Therefore, this verse uses the word Pareshaya, which indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by exalted demigods. Pareshaya means Parmeshwar. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are Ishwaras, great controllers. But Lord Vishnu is Parmeshwar, the supreme controller. So Ishwar, Ishvara means controller. So we have Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they are Ishwar, right? They are controllers. They are certainly great controllers. But the greatest controller, that's Lord Vishnu. That's why he's called Parmeshwar. The best of all the controllers, the supreme of all the controllers. Is that okay? Any comments, questions?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Like how we say, no, Omkar is a sound representation of God.
Yeah,
So maybe that's why, like, people think, right? Like sound is okay, so that means it's impersonal,
yeah,
right? God can be, he's impersonal because the sound you can't see, right? You can't. So,
that's right. That's right. So then that's why we have to understand that on the transcendental platform, there's no difference between the sound and the person.
yeah.
Yeah. So that needs a little bit like a deeper understanding.
Yeah, and like we say, right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om comes. So he's a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, God is a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. And so there's no difference between
That's no
his
difference.
sound representation and himself
Yeah,
because he's on the absolute platform. Like Hare Krishna, when we are saying there's no difference. That's Krishna himself, actually.
yes.
Okay. Yasmin idam yataschedam
Yes, min idam
Yataschedam
yatashchidam
yenedam ya idam swayam
yenedam ya
yenidam
idam
ya idam
soyam
swayam
yosmat parasmat cha paras
yo
yos ma
smacha parasmacha
parasmacha paras.
Tam prapadye swayambhuvam.
Tam
Tam
prapadye
prapadye
swayambhuvam.
swayambhuvam.
The Supreme Godhead is the supreme platform on which everything rests, the ingredient by which everything has been produced, and the person who has created and is the only cause of this cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, he is different from the cause and the result. I surrender unto him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is self-sufficient in everything. We can see the great devotees, their prayers, they understand the position of the Supreme Lord. They know how to glorify him. And that's why we are recommended to study these prayers so that we can also understand God's position. In Bhagavad Gita 9.4, the Lord says, Maya tatam idam sarva jagad avyakta murtina. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but everything rests upon my energy, just as an earthen pot rests on the earth. The place where an earthen pot rests is also earth. Then again, the earthen pot is manufactured by a potter whose body is a product of earth. The potter's wheel with which the pot is made is an expansion of earth, and the ingredients from which the pot are made are also earth. As confirmed in the Shruti mantra, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti yat pravanti abhisham vishanti. The original cause of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after being annihilated, everything enters into him. Prakritim yanti mamikam. So Prabhupada is explaining there is a pot. The pot is made of earth. The pot is kept on earth. The pot is made from earth. The body of the potter is also made of earth. The potter's wheel is also made of earth. Expansion of earth, right? Because wood is also coming from earth. So actually everything is coming from Krishna. That's what we are trying to understand. Everything. And this earth, where it comes from, Krishna says, is one of my separated energy. So everything is coming from Krishna. He is the original cause of everything. After being annihilated, everything enters into him. Thus, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra or Lord Krishna, is the original cause of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. The Lord is the cause for everything, but there is no cause for him. Sarvam kalav idam brahma, matsthani sarva bhutani, na chaham teshu avasthita. Although he is everything, his personality is different from the cosmic manifestation. So although the pot, the earth, the potter's wheel, the potter's body, all this is made of earth. And all this earth is Krishna's energy. But he still exists as himself, as a person, Supreme Person Krishna, and this earth and the different manifestations of this earth is his energy. So he's always existing, and his energy is also always existing. Okay. If no comments or questions, we'll go on to the next one. Yasvatmanidam nijamaya arpitam
Yasvatmani idam
Yasvatmanidam
nijamaya arpitam.
Nitya arpitam.
kvachit vibhatam kvachatat virohitam
Kvachit
Kvachit
vibhatam
vibhatam
kvatat
kvachitam
tirohitam.
avid Tadrik sakshi ubhayam tad ikshate.
Avedridvak
Avedtad
sakshi
sakshi
ubhayam
ubhayam
tat ikshate.
ikshate.
Sa atmamulo vatumam parat paraha.
Sa
Sa
atmamulo avatu
atmavatu
mam parat paraha.
paraha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by expanding his own energy, keeps this cosmic manifestation visible and again sometimes renders it invisible. He is both the supreme cause and the supreme result, the observer and the witness in all circumstances. Thus, he is transcendental to everything. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead give me protection. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has multi-potencies. Parasya Shaktir Vividheva Shruyate. Therefore, as soon as he likes, he uses one of his potencies, and by that expansion, he creates this cosmic manifestation. Again, when the cosmic manifestation is annihilated, it rests in him. Nonetheless, he is infallibly the supreme observer. Under any circumstances, the Supreme Lord is changeless. He is simply a witness and is aloof from all creation and annihilation. So we read in the earlier cantos of Bhagavatam how Mahavishnu is lying down on the Karana ocean, and then from his breathing, all these universes are coming from him. When he breathes out, all the universe comes out from his body. When he breathes in, everything is going back into his body. But he is ever existing, unchanging. Kalena
Hare Krishna,
Panchat.
Shilpa ji. So this is
Ah,
just that he like all this is what has been written in Bhagavad Gita about Sri Krishna. So he's glorifying in all the prayers he's repeating, right? Because even Kunti Devi or everybody, they just say the facts about Krishna always, so that we don't forget and we remember. Because if we know his uh, like if we know Janma Karma Chame Divyam, if we know all this, that he is the absolute truth and he's everything, then it's the path for liberation. We can go back, right?
that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Gajendra is telling us the greatness of God, how great He is, that He's
Mhm.
creating this entire world. Everything is resting on Him. Yeah, everything is existing. Is His energy. And He Himself is
Okay.
also existing.
Okay. Okay.
Kalena panchatvamite kritsnasho
Kalena panchatvam iteshu krishnasho
lokeshu paleshu cha sarvahetushu.
lokeshu paleshu cha sarvahetushu
Kamastadasit gahanam kabhiram
tamastasi gahanam gambhiram
yastasya pare bhivarajate vibhu.
yastasya pare vivirajate vibhu.
In due course of time, when all the causative and effective manifestations of the universe, including the planets and their directors and maintainers, are annihilated, there is a situation of dense darkness. Above this darkness, however, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I take shelter of His lotus feet. From the Vedic mantras, we understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is above everything. He is supreme, above all the demigods, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is the supreme controller. When everything disappears by the influence of his energy, the cosmic situation is one of dense darkness. The Supreme Lord, however, is the sunshine, as confirmed in the Vedic mantras, Aditya Varnam Tasma Parastad. So when the dissolution is happening, everywhere is dark. It doesn't mean the Lord doesn't exist. He still exists. In our daily experience, when we on earth are in the darkness of night, the sun is always luminous somewhere in the sky. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Sun, always remains luminous, even when the entire cosmic manifestation is annihilated in due course of time. So Krishna is eternal, ever existing. The material energy is also eternal. It's just that the material manifestation is temporary. Sometimes the world is manifested, sometimes it's not. When it's not manifested, everything's dark, but the Supreme Lord exists as luminous as the sun. Na yasya deva rishaya padam vidur
न यस्य
Nashyativa Rishya Padam Vidu
jantu panako rati gantum iritum.
Jantu Punako Iriti
गन्तु
Gantam Ritam
Yatha natasya kritibhir vicheshtato.
यथा
Yata
न तस्या
Nachischa Prithvi Vichistatu
पृथिवीर्विचित्रतो
Duradhyayanu samavatu.
Duratya
दूरजयानुक्रमणा समावतु.
Samavatu.
An artist on stage being covered by attractive dresses and dancing with different movements is not understood by his audience. Similarly, the activities and features of the supreme artist cannot be understood even by the demigods or great sages, and certainly not by those who are unintelligent like animals. Neither the demigods and sages nor the unintelligent can understand the features of the Lord, nor can they express in words his actual position. May that may that Supreme Personality of Godhead give me protection. A similar understanding was expressed by Kunti Devi. The Supreme Lord exists everywhere within and without. He even exists within the heart. Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishtu. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridesha arjuna tishtati. Thus it is indicated that one can find the Supreme Lord within one's heart. There are many, many yogis trying to find him. Dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. Nonetheless, even great yogis, demigods, saints, and sages have been unable to understand the bodily features of that great artist, nor could they understand the meaning of his movements. What then is to be said of ordinary speculators like the so-called philosophers of this material world? For them, he is impossible to understand. Therefore, we must accept the statements given by the Supreme when he kindly incarnates to instruct us. So even here in Gajendra, he's saying that the Lord is like an artist. It's difficult to understand him. Kunti Devi also says that in her prayer. So actually, it's not easy to understand Krishna. People think, yeah, I know Krishna. He was a great mistake, or he was a politician, he was a king, he was a coward boy. But to actually understand his position, and that's why we need to hear from the devotees who actually know Krishna. So we must simply accept the word of Lord Ramachandra, Lord Krishna, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in their footsteps. Then it may be possible for us to know the purpose of their incarnations. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sarjana. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. If by the Lord's grace one can understand him, one will immediately be delivered even within his material body. The material body will no longer have any function, and whatever activities take place with the body will be activities of Krishna consciousness. In this way, one may give up his body and return home back to Godhead. So one can be in this material world, be in this material body, and yet be liberated because he is completely Krishna conscious. Is that okay?
Yes. They're trying to say, right, that, yeah, Krishna, I mean, he's inconceivable.
Inconceivable. That's right. Lord is inconceivable. Yeah,
There's no end.
no
Always
end.
some no end, right?
Yeah. By His grace, whatever He allows, what He reveals to us.
Mhm.
Like how Gajendra could remember the mantra by the grace of the Lord.
By the
And
grace,
also
yeah.
Prabhupada is mentioning the Lord's grace. So by
Yeah,
Krishna's mercy.
mercy.
Yeah. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.